And we are rolling.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 2 of Make Like Dope, and I'm here with my good friend Marco today. Originally I wanted to shoot this in LA at its headquarters, the Speaker headquarters, but I'm not sure, I wasn't sure when I was going to be back in LA, so I found out the Marco was coming to New York, and I decided why not get my hands on him, pause, now, and do it here. So we're at his hotel. And thankfully we found this nice business
I
center.
own this hotel.
Yeah. We found this nice business room and nobody's here, so it made for a perfect setting for us to do this interview. So hi Marco, how you doing?
Good, man, good. Exhausted. This is the end of the year, so there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I'm rushing before then.
What are you in New York for, first of all?
A few client meetings, investor meetings. So yeah, end of the year rush for a lot of that stuff.
Great. So right off the bat, why don't we get into what is Speaker, first of all, so that our audience can understand.
Yeah, Speaker is a project I started about 6 years ago. It's essentially grouping together all the most influential people, 35,000 of the most influential people on Twitter, Instagram, Vine. Vine is dead now. And allowing brands to use our technology that we've created to find those people, to get them to become their mini endorsers, and to basically measure the value of impact from a marketing perspective. So,
who are your current clients?
And about everybody. Microsoft is one of our largest clients. Every major beverage company, so Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, every major department store, JCPenney, Old Navy, Nordstrom. A lot of the theatrical studios, Universal, Sony, tons of autos. So we've got more than 75 the Fortune 500 brands.
That's big.
Yeah.
Well, before I get into, because I also want to ask you how you wound up acquiring these clients. Why don't we get a little bit into how did you start the company? Because that's always an interesting thing that people want to know for any startup.
Yeah.
Not that I consider you a startup at this point because you're already 6 years in. But
yeah.
Why don't you kind of give us a story of how the idea came about and how did you go about in starting the company?
Okay. Yeah, actually it came from a previous business I ran. So before this I was running a digital strategy agency for artists and entertainers. So I had a bunch of artists that we would develop digital street teams and fan clubs and do online marketing for. And in the process of doing this, we actually created one platform that was a digital street team platform where we would take in artists' fans and then essentially mobilize them online to do things in MySpace, on message boards, and get points for it. So you'd have Ludacris, who was one of our clients, and you'd say, all right, I'm going to take 1,000 of Ludacris fans and have them post on MySpace about Ludacris, and they get 50 points. Have them add Ludacris to their MySpace, they get 100 points. And once they get 1,000 points, you get a signed CD from Luda, right? So this fan base ended up being more powerful than the artists themselves. And our minds were all right, well, this works for talent, but these people love more than just Ludacris as a brand. They love H&M as a brand, they love Sony as a brand, they love Transformers as a brand. So if we could create a system that would actually identify the level of value that anybody has over any number of brands, and then allow brands to essentially buy into those people's voices at the same level of control and scale that they do websites, then we'd have the largest word of mouth platform in the world. So we went down that road. I had the idea while I was in Miami, actually just chilling on the beach, and I came home. I remember calling my dad, actually telling him, he was in Miami too. I told him and gave him an idea, and I was so amped, and literally the next day I started testing it out, and it worked. And I got clear out the music industry and into
one day to the next.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. So all right, so how did you get? All right, so how did you go about in getting your first client with your business?
My very
and it
first...
was, I'm sorry, just to backtrack, it was you and a colleague, or was it you by yourself?
The very first steps was just me, and then shortly thereafter I brought on Philippe, who's the number 2 person I hired in the company. He's a boss.
And he's still with the company today?
Yep, still with the company today. And our very first clients came from a lot of the referrals and everything that I already had. It was
from working in the music side of things.
Yeah. So they were smaller clients, but then I did have like some clients like Lionsgate early on that were bigger clients at the time for us. And I got those through a lot of my connections and friends that had already been working with me in my previous business. And then the big breakout for us was when Microsoft cold called us, which is like, how does that ever happen?
How do they find out? How do they even find out about you guys?
Well, fortunately for us, at the time, influencer marketing was so young that if you started looking up influencer marketing companies, like there were only a handful of us that even popped up, right? So
and it was mainly Twitter at the time, right?
Yeah, Twitter had just started around the time that we launched, so that's why you really didn't have Instagram, we didn't have those platforms, Vine, things like that.
Was Facebook something you
Facebook
guys
was
were using
around, but no, we weren't using Facebook. Facebook wasn't as commercially viable for us to do it with that. I mean, it was like you could do stuff on pages, but nobody was creating pages at the time, and nobody really cared. Like, it was more like the college students and like people on Facebook, but not big personalities really creating accounts on Facebook in the way that they do now.
Right.
So at that time, the hype thing was like getting your Twitter account.
Yeah.
And like we started bringing a lot of people on to Twitter. So it was a big opportunity. So that basically Microsoft found us and invited us to pitch them on how to learn essentially social influence. So we go in and it's like we're a team of like 4.
So did they like outsource you guys, or? So that's how it started in the beginning. I thought it was like they wanted like to campaign something, and you guys like took it on. So it was more so you guys had like they basically outsourced you guys to help them understand.
Well, that was sort of like the first step to the campaign.
Gotcha.
It was like, who can teach us about social influence? And that's who we're going to have start running campaigns for us. And we had a lot of big companies that were going against us, like Yahoo and StumbleUpon.
Trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, but they're big behemoths. But even though they're big behemoths, they didn't know half as much as we did about social media influencers. That's all we were doing.
Gotcha.
So even though it was 4 of us, it's like the 4 of us know more than Yahoo about social media influence. So we ended up winning, and then had an opportunity to run a campaign with them.
That was
like 4 days
would you say that was like your that pivotal?
Oh yes. Oh okay. Yeah. No, it was.
So it happened fairly early on.
Yeah, I mean that was like year 1. It was within our first year that we got that type of recognition. Because we had already started getting a little bit of press because I took a lot of my celebrity friends and like got them onto the platform, and we did like some early deals with like Verizon and Diddy and like T-Mobile and Monica, and they started writing articles like, oh, that's the company that can get Shaq to tweet about you and things like that. So because we had so much of an attention around us from the celebrities that we were engaging with, our visibility got higher even though we were a small company.
Well, you were doing something that was unique too, because like you said, there was only a handful of people that were your competitors.
Yep.
What's been your biggest challenge thus far, as far as building your business?
Man, I mean, it's probably growing from a business that has the responsibility of me to the responsibility of a few people to the responsibility of like 40 people, right? And the reason why I say that is like as you're going through those stages, the problems become so much bigger, right? The burden becomes so much larger, and the ability to, in my world, like I came from being sort of considered a bit of a lone ranger and definitely a control freak. So I'm like, I gotta have my hands in everything, but there's a certain point where, as the business starts growing, it's literally physically impossible for me to have my hands in everything. So I had to learn a new skill, which was, really training people and teaching people, and then trying to figure out how to treat the company as an organism that like has a culture to it, that has an ethos to it, has a pulse to it, And that pulse doesn't run off of just success.
Right.
Like it runs off of a lot of stuff. Like, do I feel recognition? Or, oh, Marco came in and he looked sad today. He's probably mad at me. Like stuff like that you would never think about. But those human things are the things that actually usually are the make and breakers of so many businesses.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, I had a bad idea. It's like I had a great idea, but I couldn't get it to work with the people that I wanted to bring together. So that definitely is probably the biggest challenge possible.
And I deem that as being something very important. I read Creativity Inc. Recently, and some months back, and that's one of the things that I've tried to kind of put in the minds of my partners as well, because I feel like your work environment, that's where everything starts, especially when you're a company that involves so much creativity.
Yep.
You need to learn how to culture that and really cater to your workforce. And that is one of the biggest challenges.
And it's a job.
Yeah, it
literally is.
If
you thought it wasn't a part of your job title, it's gonna be. It's gonna be a part of your job title.
Definitely. One thing I kind of like to highlight is the trials of a business. What would you say was the hardest moment when you maybe you got to a point where you felt like giving up with your business? I'm sure it's probably been more than one. If I could speak from my own experience, it's definitely been more than one time. But if you just had to pick that one moment, which one would you say?
It's funny because I've spoken about this moment a few times to people, and it's something that always gives people a bit of a reaction. It's when I was first starting, and we're trying to get the momentum moving, and I'd gotten down to the point where I had no money. I was negative a few $1,000s in the bank, and then I had rent coming up the next day, and no idea how I was going to pay for.
I think I've heard this story.
Yeah.
By the way, I visit Mark all the time. He's actually my female best friend's boyfriend. So whenever I'm in LA, I always either stay there or drop in. So sometimes I've heard some of these interesting stories.
So in that case, I remember specifically it probably was one of the more worrisome moments, but I had so much faith that I was just something's got to give. I'm
know
doing
exactly
the right thing. I'm not doing anything negative here, and that's one of the things that I learned a while back, really early, because for a while I'd question so and so is successful, or they got here, and then I'd question do I have to be mean to get there, or I got to do this to get there, and all that stuff. And then I learned very quickly to develop a really strong level of integrity, and also consistency in the things that I do, and knowing that I'm never gonna have to look over my shoulder as to why I'm in any situation. Even if I'm at the bottom and I'm I'm starving right now.
Yeah.
I'm but I did everything right, so something's gonna give, because I'm staying true. I'm staying true to my business. I'm staying true to the people around me. So in that moment, I felt that way, and I was really calm, and calm, panicky, but calm.
Right.
And then the next day, I got a call from Brad, who was my very first investor, and he hadn't even met me in person. He's a New York angel now, and he's like, Marco, I don't know what it is about you. I've never invested in anybody I've never even met before, but something tells me that anything you do is going to be great. And he gave me $20,000. 10 grand of which I had to pay him back.
The struggles.
Thank you, Brad, though. But I took that 10 grand, and over the next 18 months, I turned it into $1.8 million.
Amazing.
So it was one of those moments where
literally
rock bottom, and then boom. It was exactly what I needed to get it over the hump and then to start accelerating.
Now you mentioned investor. How did you go about in getting your first investor? Because I think that's important for a lot of people that have these great ideas, but they don't necessarily know how to go about, or they might have already done some of the steps, but they're all right, how do I get an investor?
Yeah. Well, Brad was very much like happenstance. I mean, I think one of the things that I've done, and I'm sure you probably remember this, there's actually a story about Mark when he was starting Facebook, and how he had put up a call in the college dorms, like anybody that wanted to help him with the business, and like 2 people showed up, and like those 2 people are the founders of Facebook right now. So like oftentimes just showing up is the thing that does it. So I made a life of showing up a lot and like meeting people and like constantly sort of talking about what I'm trying to do. And what's one thing that I think it's not just like, just talk and then sooner or later things will fall into place. But I learned very quickly to start acting as if I was already there. In order to get there. So it was like, all right, let me assume that I'm going to go out and I'm going to meet investors and I'm going to meet people that could potentially help me. And half the time I'd go out and nothing would happen. Right? But like that one time that I go out and I meet somebody who introduces me to Brad, and then I talk to Brad, and then he's just this guy in New York that I know over the phone, and then suddenly he wants to invest in me. Like it's not as perfectly calculated as people may think. It happens from the most random circumstances. A bulk of the investors and the relationships that I've had have come from the most random things and just showing up and being there. Now, mind you, you start moving a little bit further, like now I'm doing a much larger institutional raise, so it's a little bit more methodical. It's like we've got documentation and here are the people that we go out to invest with. But I think the same thought process prevails. It's like just showing up oftentimes and believing in yourself and believing that you are going to succeed, but then making sure that you just keep in mind, I wasn't just showing up at random places, showing up at the right places. Like I was like, all right, well, where would people that are doing stuff hang out? Where would people that are spending money hang out? Where
there's websites for that, like meetup.com, which I used to when I first came up with the idea for my app, I used meetup.com. So if you guys don't know about it, you should get on meetup.com, because there's a lot of especially tech, there's a lot of meetups going on every day that you can go and be a part of, and you never know you can meet.
Never know. And the crazy thing is, it's almost like the whole 6 degrees of separation. Because there's so many people I've met that I've never done anything with them, but they introduced me to somebody that I did something great with. So I never discount a relationship that I could have. I'm like, hey, I've embraced it all. And you never know.
And you have to treat everybody the same too. It's like one thing that I like to do is, my tool that I use to like help people is social media, because I get like DMs here and there, and like it's people asking me for advice and help, and you have to take the time to do these things and also attend to these people, because you never know if that's going to be the next person that might put you on, and not that you should do it with the intent of getting anything in return, but I think if this is something that you practice and you kind of program your mind to think that way, you'll be amazed at how like the outcomes just from that.
Well, it's the law, man. It's like you put it out there, you get it back. So it's
super important.
Always push it out there.
Anyway, all right, so back to it. So what would you say have been the keys to the success of your company? I would say list the top 3 things.
Top 3 things. All right. Faith. Number 1. Determination, number 2, and I'd say number 3, a damn good idea.
A good idea?
Good idea.
Oh, idea.
Yeah, I'd say those 3 things are very important. Obviously, I can have faith and determination for something that's crappy.
Which a lot of people have.
they're just not going anywhere. But it just so happened that we had an idea around something that the industry needed that was also new and disruptive and groundbreaking, and then have the determination that we're going to make it happen, and then the faith that it's
going to work,
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's key in my opinion too, because I've experienced the same thing, and I've met a lot of people in my career that they come to me with ideas, but the ethic is not there. The ethic of being perseverant and really following through with what they say they're going to do. They're kind of just waiting for something to fall in their lap.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's just not the way that it works.
Not gonna happen. I mean,
you reap what you sow.
Exactly. If you're not putting in that time, like to where I remember, and I've done this for so long, but it's like from the 6 a.m. mornings continually in on out to the midnight days to just continually going and never really having a break from anything that you're doing, but staying so focused on that and dedicated on it is something that will allow you to get rewards. There's no way that you can not get rewards when you're doing that.
All right, so I had a lot more questions, Marco, but unfortunately we can't stay at this space for long, so I think we're just gonna jump to the kind of like the conclusion. All right. So for someone who may have a unique idea for a tech company, how would you advise them to go about it and like executing their let's say they have a great idea. Mm-hmm. What would you say step 1, 2, and 3 for them are?
Man, I mean, without knowing the idea, I mean, I'd say step 1 is really sort of walking through your own business model and just trying to draw a path for what success would look like. I think that you got to at least have what I like calling to the hypothesis.
Right.
That hypothesis mind state around, all right, so if what I'm doing actually could work, what happens? And then what's the sort of route that leads me to some level of success? And you may not know like the exact outcome, but you should at least have an idea of what direction it's going to go in. The second thing I'd say is to get yourself resources, and those resources can be money, those resources can be people. And one of the things that I think a lot of people probably mistake is they oftentimes jump straight to money all the time, and they think, all right, well, in order to get people, I need money, and in order to get a place, I need money. And they don't think of like, do I have anything? Do I have something I could leverage? Is it my personality? Is it my ability to inspire people that just gets them excited about my business? Is it my understanding of what I could offer them in the future? Because one of the things that I did to build the business that's not in that story is part of how I got so far without any capital is I had tons of people working for me for free in the first year of the company. So I didn't start off saying, I need so much money. I started off saying, I need to be able to inspire people to work on this without money, but the future promise of them getting money, right? So that became my asset. My asset was my personality and my ability to inspire people on that vision. And that may not be your same asset, right? But figure out what that is to get those resources. And then the third thing I'd say is just do it and be ready to fail. Like, and be ready to fail multiple times. And whatever that first hypothesis you had, like, it's probably going to be wrong, but it'll guide you slowly to the thing that is actually right, and use those failures as the building blocks of what actually creates your business and creates your concept.
Perfect. Lastly, I want to know how this process of building your business has changed you personally as a person.
Oh man, I mean, it's made me so much more mature. I've had to be responsible for something at the highest of levels because it's not just that I'm responsible for the business as my own vision, but I'm responsible for all of the clients that we touch. I'm responsible for all the staff and their families that rely on us. When I think about things that I'm going to do, I always have that in my mind of like, all right, this is a risky scenario, but I got to believe in it. And then at the same time, I know that everyone that's coming along board with me is relying on my decision making. So that is definitely something that it's both changed me in a maturity, and it has also made me rethink the way that I process a lot of stuff. So I've become a lot wiser in the way that I make decisions. I've become way more conscious of how I can affect people easily, both positive and negative. Right? So like that becomes something too. And then I also think that I've gained a level of confidence in experience that comes from just knowing that the only thing that separates you from that person that you're looking up to is that they've just been there before. So half of the time, it's not that like I'm just such a massively smarter version of myself than I was when I was younger. It's just I hadn't been exposed to half of this stuff, so I didn't really know like, oh, you could do that. Oh, that we could approach it this way. Like, so that experience oftentimes is what separates you. So I've gained a lot more of that, and I now approach other things with the mindset of, yeah, I could do that. I mean, all I got to do is just try it, and then I can learn it.
So, I guess that's it. What's next for the company? Where are you guys now? What's the next plan? Or the next big thing?
We just got named the 79th fastest growing.
That's right. You just got an award recently.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And next year, if we do what we're supposed to do, we'll probably be in like the top 10 there. So we're growing pretty aggressively, just expanding the business concept and expanding our overall reach. So we're very, very excited about that.
I commend you, man.
Thank you.
To see where you've come in the last couple of years. That I've known this Marco for the last 3 years or so.
Yeah.
And the company's grown so much, and like honestly, you're an inspiration to me. So I hope that the message can also resonate with everybody who's watching this video, and it can have a positive and motivating effect as it's done to me. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for the support always for everything that I do.
No problem.
And why don't you go ahead and let us know where we can find like information about the company, your website, your social media.
Yeah, you can check me out at www.speakr.com, which is SPEAKR.com. Instagram is the same, so Instagram at Speakr. And then my personal is M Hansell, which is HANSELL.
Cool. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you can share this with anybody that you think would appreciate watching this interview and getting some insight on this amazing company and Marco. And that's it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to comment below. Thank you. Until next time.
Awesome.
Sweet.